It was Christmas time, 1996, when a disaster was sweeping a nation. A hysteria which was causing great panic among the masses. A rumbling chaos that was causing people to lose their humanity and turn them into violent maniacs. It was such a chaos, it was causing great desperation from many people, like their lives depended on it. And all this chaos and disaster was caused by this guy right here, the Tickle Me Elmo. Yes, the Tickle Me Elmo may seem like a harmless toy that's been around for so long now, it seems like it's part of the Christmas wish list landscape. Back when this fluffy red guy came out, it literally brought America and Canada to its knees and caused great shopping disasters, to the point where people were hospitalized and arrested, where desperate parents turned to desperate measures, as if their inner savagery came out in them. So how did it all happen? Well, we're gonna find out in today's episode of Weird Tales of Pop Culture, as we look into the Tickle Me Elmo hysteria. Let's check it out. So as we all know, Elmo is a fan favourite character from the popular children's TV show Sesame Street. I mean, who didn't watch this show growing up? Elmo at first was just a character who sort of showed up in the background every now and then, until the character started to take off and be embraced by the show's young viewers. Yep, thanks to his cutesy squeaky voice and childlike innocence and adorability, this little fluffy red Muppet had become a fan favourite in the Muppet universe. Or as I like to call it, the Muppetverse. Yeah, that sounds better.
La 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 la, Elmo's world.
It's here we cut to toy inventors Greg Hyman and Ron Dubrin. In 1995, they created a fairly innovative toy called Tickles the Chimp. A fluffy plush toy, which laughed and giggled and shook around when someone tickled him. Hyman and Dubrin took their creation to toy company Tyco. Now, Tyco saw potential in this toy, but not in its current format. They felt that the Tickle toy should be modelled after a well-known children's character, which led to, yep, you guessed it, Looney Tunes characters. Yep, before the toy was Tickle Me Elmo, it was Tickle Me Tweety, along with other Warner Brothers characters including a Tickle Me Bugs Bunny and a Tickle Me Tasmanian Devil. Despite sales of the Tickle Me Looney Tunes characters being successful, considering they could only be sold at a Warner Brothers store in California, production on these toys had to cease, as Tyco had lost their rights to make toys out of Looney Tunes characters. However, the company did then manage to acquire the rights to Sesame Street, and thus the Tickle Me Tasmanian Devil had a redesign and became the Tickle Me Elmo. And the idea of having a tickling, laughing toy just seemed to go hand in hand with Elmo, like the toy was meant to be Elmo, thanks to the character's adorable playfulness.
It's new Tickle Me Elmo. Your child tickles Elmo and he talks.
That tickles.
And laughs. Tickle him again and hold on, because his whole body shakes with laughter.
The Tyco president of the time, Neil Friedman, spoke of the Tickle Me Elmo, saying, quote, "When you played with Tickle Me Elmo for the first time, it brought a smile to everyone's face. It was a magical surprise." So with this new toy, it'll seem that the Tickle Me Elmo was bound to be an instant sure hit. Except it wasn't. Well, not entirely. The Tickle Me Elmo was released commercially in July 1996, and this new exciting toy of everyone's favourite Sesame Street character sold pretty well. No better or worse than a new toy that finds its way onto a toy shelf. So how did we go from a calm start to an absolute Christmas fiasco? Well, something that has been attributed to the sudden demand for Tickle Me Elmo was the variety talk show, The Rosie O'Donnell Show, where, unexpectedly, Rosie featured a Tickle Me Elmo on her show and promoted it. of which at that time, her show was actually really popular. And this created a mad rush for people to go out and buy a Tickle Me Elmo for their kids. There was one problem though. Rosie O'Donnell's plug for the Tickle Me Elmo happened in October, with Christmas still 2 months away. With the toy getting this kind of recognition, it was felt that it was done too early, as by the time the Christmas season arrived, there were drastic shortages with toy retailers unable to meet demands. Uh-oh, Elmo! In the lead up to Christmas, frantic parents were going crazy, stampeding their way through toy stores in order to try and get a Tickle Me Elmo for their kids in time for Christmas.
Tickle Me Elmo is the hottest thing this Christmas. Sold out of stores everywhere.
We had about 200 of them in, and they were gone all within about 6 hours.
What are your odds of finding Tickle Me Elmo in the Bay Area right now?
Ooh, not very good.
It was absolute chaos and pandemonium. A list of some of the madness to be created over the search for a Tickle Me Elmo includes one event in particular, when some parents were frantically chasing a delivery truck in New York City, hoping that they could get some Tickle Me Elmos before they reached the toy stores. 2 women in Chicago got into a brawl over a Tickle Me Elmo, which resulted in both desperate mothers embarrassingly getting arrested.
Where's your Christmas spirit?
And in New Brunswick, Canada, a Walmart store clerk was injured when he was trampled over by a stampede of desperate shoppers trying to get a Tickle Me Elmo. And this guy got seriously messed up. It all started after the shoppers saw him being handed a box of toys, which they assumed was a box of Tickle Me Elmos. And when they saw this, he then suffered the wrath of 300 determined shoppers who charged at him to see what's in the box. And as a result of the shopping rampage, he suffered a broken rib, concussion, injured back, injured knee, injured jaw, and a pulled hamstring. And he will probably also need some post-traumatic stress therapy. I mean, just listen to the poor man talking.
Somebody in the crowd yelled, "There's the Elmos," and they rushed us.
He sounds traumatized, like he's just been through a war. And in some cases, it even sounds like the parents wanted a Tickle Me Elmo more than the actual kids.
What's the big deal about Tickle Me Elmo?
Actually, my daughter probably wouldn't know the difference, but it's actually, I've seen it, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Now let go.
Oh,
Gotta
we're gonna
let
fight
go.
over Elmo? How much you gonna sell it for?
What's your asking price?
Well, about $60, $70.
You'd go up that high.
Yeah, I will. Because I know somebody wants it.
I think these store clerks summed it up the best, where they were both basically telling frantic shoppers to just let it go, as it's really not worth it.
Parents become desperate. We hear desperation in their voice, like, where can I get it? Well, I don't know where you can get it. Move on, choose something else.
You know, it's like saying, this is the best. Well, it isn't the best. I mean, there's nothing, a toy, how can any toy be the best? I mean, it's a toy.
But it didn't end there, as you then had some people capitalizing on the situation. People who managed to get a Tickle Me Elmo and then put it up for sale for a huge fortune.
This may very well be the last Tickle Me Elmo to be found in the Bay Area, but he's already sold.
Like this lady who was trying to sell her Tickle Me Elmo for $500, despite the toy being worth $35.
Times are tough right now, so you gotta do what you can to survive.
Jeez, and she's saying that during a 1990s economy. However, to me, all this madness just reaches its pinnacle when learning that an LA radio station auctioned off a Tickle Me Elmo and it was sold for, okay, get ready for this, $18,500. Wow. Just wow. By today's standards, that's about $32,000. Seriously, guys, it's just a Tickle Me Elmo. Put that money aside for college or something. It's just unnecessary. Don't spend all that money. Here, look, you can have mine. Indeed, this phenomenon was given several names by the media, one of them being Elmo Mania. But I think my favorite is the Tickle Me Elmo Hysteria. And as 1996 wrapped up, all 1 million Tickle Me Elmo dolls had been sold off. If you can believe it, the Elmo hysteria isn't the only controversy surrounding an Elmo toy. Jump to 2008, when a Florida mother bought her son James an Elmo Knows Your Name plush toy. Now this version of Elmo has the ability to learn names thanks to the aid of a computer program that it can connect to. But just like something out of Child's Play, when the mother changed the doll's batteries, Elmo started to say, quote, "Kill James."
Kill James? Kill James?
What was that?
Kill James?
In fact, Elmo was saying "kill James" so much, even James, the little boy, started to copy the sentence.
Kill James?
Fearing this ghoulish Elmo doll suddenly had a bloodlust to harm her son, the mother contacted the news to try and make sense of the madness.
But a Bay Area mother says the Elmo doll that she bought for her 2-year-old son is now making death threats, and she's not laughing. News Channel 8's Peter Bernard shows us why Elmo's new vocabulary has her wondering if Elmo has a dark side.
It's not something that really you would think that would ever come out of a toy, but once I heard it, I was just kind of distraught.
But yesterday's battery switch appears to have taught Elmo how to make death threats.
This, of course, started several urban legends that the Elmo doll was haunted or possessed. But something I noticed in the YouTube comment section is comments made by people who think that the doll is actually saying, "Tell James."
Kill James? Kill James?
But that's not all, as in 2005 there seemed to be another bloodlust Elmo toy. This time it was in the form of a book called Potty Time with Elmo, of which the book had several buttons that you can press, which make noises and teaches kids about using the bathroom.
Let's try and use the potty.
So it's educational and all in good fun, except for one button, in which Elmo supposedly says, "Who wants to die?" Once again, concerned parents got involved and voiced their concerns over Elmo's death threat antics.
A book meant to teach kids how to potty train is sending out a message of death.
Elmo laughs, ha ha ha, and then he says, "Who wants to die?"
Oh, okay. I would probably edit that part out.
This is the role of the parents where it comes in. Obviously, to screen everything in this day and age with media, all types of media, before your children have access to it.
Now this one did have more of an explanation, where the book's publisher said that the sentence, "Who wants to die?" wasn't recorded, but the book was actually saying something else, but the sound recording was damaged due to compression in the digital audio file. Well, at least this one was explained rather than urban legends being made up about the book being possessed by Pazuzu or something. After many complaints, the publishing company recalled all the defective books. Then of course there's the case of the Elmo doll that nearly severed a boy's finger in 2007. This time it was an Elmo toy called Hokey Pokey Elmo, where he wiggles about and if he falls over he asks to be picked back up and so on. Where on Christmas Day, this little boy went to pick up his Elmo that took a tumble, where his finger got caught in the wheels of Elmo's foot and, well, tore at it, nearly tearing it off, which forced the family to rush to the emergency room.
A Christmas present results in a holiday trip to the emergency room.
I'm not gonna play with him anymore. That was fun!
Thankfully, the little boy was okay. Now this one I actually think does hold merit. There supposedly was dodgy mechanics with Elmo's foot, with some bolt or something sticking out.
There is a sharp bolt on both feet.
And this mother didn't want a lawsuit, just to inform other parents to be wary of the potential dangers of this toy. So no evil possession this time. Although if it was possessed, I'll understand. I think I'd go crazy too if I had a tag stuck up my ass. But on a serious note, what is up with all these bloodthirsty toys and Elmo? It's like the Tickle Me Elmo started off a bad omen, where from there it was going to be all controversies and death threats. And in some cases, potential severed fingers. So, to conclude on the phenomena that was the 1996 Tickle Me Elmo hysteria, well, I look at it like this. Christmas is meant to be a celebration of us at our best. But because of the Elmo fiasco, it displayed us at our worst. Christmas, after all, is about giving and sharing. This showed a more selfish side of us taking, and in some cases, hurting. And I just want to say, I don't think anyone is immune to this sensation. I mean, there have been times where I've been at stores after a particular something where I've raced to get there, and screw everyone else who you leave behind. So let's all remember the true meaning of Christmas by looking back at the Elmo hysteria. as a sort of template to how not to behave. The true love you have should come from the heart, and not a red giggling toy. Anyway, Merry Christmas everyone. I love you all and you're all brilliant. Have a happy and safe time and an equally wonderful new year. Anyway, I'm Minty, and the Tickle Me Elmo Hysteria is a weird tale of pop culture.